Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of our true crime deep dives. Today, we're unraveling a case that has both captivated and confounded the nation: the mysterious disappearance and tragic death of Adea Shabani. So grab your detective hats and strap in, because this one is a roller coaster of emotions, twists, and turns that you won't see coming. Today, we're not just talking about a case, we're talking about a life that was full of potential but tragically cut short. Adea Shabani was a 25-year-old aspiring actress who had left her home in Skopje, Macedonia, to follow her Hollywood dreams. She was enrolled at the Stella Adler Academy of Acting, a prestigious school that has honed the talents of many successful actors. Adea was not just another face in the crowd. She was a standout student, known for her dedication and passion for her craft. But Adea's life was not all glitz and glamour. She had her struggles, like trying to find meaningful roles in an industry that often typecasts young actresses. She was also navigating a complicated personal life, including a relationship with Chris Spots, a man who would later become a key figure in the investigation into her disappearance. In February 2018, Adea was last seen leaving her Hollywood apartment, a place she had moved into with dreams of it being the first stepping stone to a successful career. She was captured on CCTV, and the footage showed her leaving with Chris Spots. That was the last time anyone would see her alive. She texted a friend about buying red candles, a seemingly mundane detail that now haunts those who knew her. What happened after that remains a mystery, but what we do know is that her disappearance left a void in the lives of her family, friends, and everyone who knew her. So, as we go through the details of this perplexing case, let's keep in mind that we're talking about a young woman whose life was tragically and mysteriously cut short. A young woman who had dreams, just like any of us. Let's rewind to February 2018. A month that started like any other for Adea Shabani but ended in a way that nobody could have predicted. On that fateful day, Adea was captured on CCTV footage leaving her Hollywood apartment. She wasn't alone, she was with Chris Spots, her boyfriend at the time. The footage shows them leaving together, but what it doesn't show is where they were going or what was about to unfold. Now, here's where things get eerie. Adea sent a text to a friend asking where to buy red candles. Why red candles? Was it for a romantic evening, a spiritual ritual, or something else entirely? We can only speculate, but what we do know is that this text was the last trace of her before she vanished. No more calls, no more texts, no social media updates, nothing. It was as if she had been swallowed by the earth. The hours turned into days, and days into weeks. Her family, thousands of miles away in Macedonia, grew increasingly desperate. They knew something was terribly wrong. Adea was close to her family. She wouldn't just cut off contact without an explanation. They decided to take matters into their own hands, hiring private detective Jaden Brandt to find out what happened to their daughter. The initial search focused on Chris Spots, but as we'll see later, the case is far more complex than it appears. The CCTV footage and the text about red candles were the last pieces of the puzzle before Adea's life took a dark, irreversible turn. So, as we delve deeper into this intricate and heartbreaking case, let's remember that at the center of all these unanswered questions is a young woman who simply vanished, leaving behind a trail of confusion, heartbreak, and mystery. Alright, folks, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, the investigation. When someone you love goes missing, the desperation to find them becomes all-consuming. Adea's family felt this acutely, and they weren't about to sit idly by. They hired Jaden Brandt, a private detective known for his meticulous attention to detail, to dig into the case. And dig he did. From the get-go, the investigation was like peeling an onion, each layer revealing something more pungent and eye-watering than the last. Jaden Brandt wasn't just dealing with a simple missing person case. He was navigating a labyrinth of dark secrets and hidden agendas. Firstly, let's talk about Adea's relationship with Chris Spots. Friends and acquaintances described it as tumultuous, even violent at times. Could this have been a crime of passion? Or was there something more sinister at play? And then there's the Albanian Mafia. Yeah, you heard that right, the Albanian Mafia. Rumors began to circulate that Adea, who was of Albanian descent, had somehow gotten entangled with organized crime. While this angle of the investigation didn't provide any concrete answers, it added another layer of complexity and danger to an already convoluted case. But the twists didn't end there. Rolling Stone journalist Neil Strauss got wind of the case and decided to document the investigation in real time, just 3 weeks after Adea vanished. This brought a whole new level of public attention and scrutiny, turning the search for Adea into a nationwide spectacle. So, as you can see, this wasn't a run-of-the-mill investigation. It was a whirlwind of leads, dead ends, and shocking revelations, each one leaving us more baffled than the last. And through it all, Jaden Brandt and Neil Strauss kept digging, refusing to let Adea's story fade into obscurity. Okay, guys, let's talk about the moment when the tides began to turn, the turning point. You know, there's a saying that desperation is the raw material of drastic change. And in this case, Adea's family was the embodiment of that desperation. They were running out of time, and they knew it. As the weeks stretched into agonizing months, the family decided they couldn't just sit on their hands anymore. They needed to be proactive. They needed to shake things up. And so, they did something that would change the trajectory of the entire investigation. They took matters into their own hands. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, for starters, they began leveraging their own network of contacts, both in the US and back in Albania. They reached out to community leaders, local businesses, and anyone who might have information that could lead to Adea. They even put up billboards and started a social media campaign, #FindAdea, that went viral. But perhaps the most impactful move was their decision to offer a substantial reward for any information leading to Adea or her whereabouts. This wasn't just a symbolic gesture. It was a strategic move designed to incentivize people to come forward. And it worked. Tips started pouring in, some more credible than others, but each one a glimmer of hope in a sea of despair. This family-led initiative didn't just supplement the official investigation, it reinvigorated it. New leads were pursued, old leads were revisited, and the entire investigative team, including Jade and Brandt, found themselves with renewed energy and focus. So, you see, this turning point wasn't just a chapter in the investigation, it was a rallying cry. A statement that said, "We will not let Adea be forgotten. We will not rest until we find the truth." And that, my friends, changed everything. All right, everyone, take a deep breath. We're about to enter the darkest chapter of this story, the tragic end. You know, sometimes in life, we're hit with news so devastating that it feels like a punch to the gut. This was one of those moments. Chris Spots, the man last seen with Adea, suddenly became a fugitive. Imagine the shockwaves this sent through everyone following the case. This wasn't just a missing persons case anymore. It had escalated into a full-blown manhunt. Spots was not just armed. He was dangerous and on the run from the police. Now, here's where things take an even darker turn. In a desperate act that left everyone stunned, Spots ended his own life. He shot himself after a high-speed police chase. It was a shocking and abrupt end to a life that had become entangled in a web of secrets and lies. But what about Adea? Well, the news that followed was the devastating blow we'd all been dreading. Adea's body was eventually discovered. The cause of death, blunt force trauma. The LAPD concluded that Spots was her killer. But was he acting alone? That's a question that still haunts everyone involved in this case. The discovery of Adea's body was a moment of profound sorrow. It was the end of all hope that she might be found alive. But it was also the beginning of a new kind of agony for her family and friends. An agony of what-ifs and if-onlys. A lifetime of birthdays, holidays, and milestones that Adea would never experience. So, as we sit here, grappling with the harsh realities of this tragic end, let's not forget that at the center of all this darkness was a young woman with dreams and aspirations. A young woman who deserved so much more than the life she was given. Okay, guys, let's take a moment to step back from the headlines, the theories, and the public fascination. Let's talk about the real victims in all of this, the family. You know, it's easy to get caught up in the drama of a case like this, but we must never forget that at the heart of it all is a family that's been shattered into a million pieces. Adea's family has been living a nightmare that none of us can even begin to comprehend. Imagine the agony of knowing your loved one is missing. Holding on to every phone call, every knock on the door, hoping it brings good news, only to have those hopes crushed time and time again. And it's not just the loss, it's the manner of the loss. They've had to hear and read about the horrific details of Adea's final days. Details that no family should ever have to know. It's like being trapped in a never-ending cycle of grief and horror, a loop that plays over and over in their minds. The media circus and public speculation have only added another layer of pain. Their personal tragedy has become public property, dissected and debated by strangers who never knew Adea but are quick to pass judgment. So, as we delve into this case, let's keep in mind that Adea was someone's daughter, someone's friend, someone's loved one. Her family is still here, still grieving, and still searching for answers. Their pain is unimaginable, and their courage is awe-inspiring. They deserve our deepest respect and empathy. All right, folks, we've covered a lot of ground, but we're not done yet. You see, every true crime story has its share of unanswered questions, and this one is no exception. The LAPD might have closed the case, satisfied that Chris Spots was Adea's killer, but let's not forget, new evidence has come to light suggesting he may not have acted alone. So, what does this mean? Well, it means that the story we thought we knew might just be the tip of the iceberg. It means that there are still pieces of this puzzle missing, gaps in the narrative that we can't ignore. Who helped Spots, if he indeed had an accomplice? What was their motive? And why go to such lengths to cover it up? These are questions that keep us up at night, questions that make this case so frustratingly complex. And let's not forget the red candles. What significance did they hold for Adea? Was it a ritual, a message, or something far more sinister? It's a small detail, but in a case like this, every detail matters. The most haunting question of all, however, is this: will we ever know the full truth? Will Adea's family ever get the closure they so desperately seek? Or will this case forever remain a maze of dead ends and dark alleys? It's a chilling thought, one that reminds us that sometimes the truth is more elusive than we'd like to believe. Okay, guys, we've dissected this case from almost every angle, but let's zoom out for a second. You see, the story of Adea Shabani has transcended beyond the people who knew her. It's become a national obsession. I mean, just take a look online. Reddit threads, Twitter hashtags, YouTube comment sections, you name it, people are talking about it. And it's not just idle chatter. This case has actually changed the way we think about criminal investigations. It's made us question the effectiveness of traditional methods and has sparked debates about the role of private investigators and even journalists in solving crimes. It's a case that has, in many ways, become a mirror reflecting our own societal values and fears. So, what does this tell us? It tells us that Adea's story has struck a chord, not just as a cautionary tale, but as a catalyst for change. It's a story that has both united and divided us, but most importantly, it's a story that we're not willing to let go of. Wow, what a journey this has been. As we wrap up this deep dive into the life and tragic death of Adea Shabani, it's evident that her story is far from over. The questions that remain unanswered, the emotions that are still raw, and the community that continues to seek justice, all of these elements make this a story that refuses to be forgotten. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me on this intense exploration. Your engagement, your curiosity, it's what keeps these stories alive, and it's what pushes us closer to the truth. So, as we part ways today, I leave you with this: stay vigilant, stay curious, and most importantly, stay safe. Because the world is full of mysteries, and you never know which one will find you next.